The earliest latex condoms appeared in the early 20th century, and oral contraceptives, which prevent pregnancy by regulating hormones, have been around for less than a century since their introduction. So, have you ever wondered, before the advent of modern contraceptives, in times when people lacked understanding of reproductive physiology, did they practice contraception? If so, how did they go about it? The answer might surprise you. The practice of birth control actually dates back to a very distant past. The earliest written records of contraceptive behavior among humans can be traced to a magnificent ancient civilization. The Cahun Gynecological Papyrus, written around 1850 BCE, is the oldest known medical document in ancient Egyptian history. Although some of its viewpoints may seem primitive or even unscientific from the perspective of modern medicine, it remains an important document in the early history of human medical development due to its courageous attempts to explore issues of human reproduction and gynecological health. According to the Cahun Gynecological Papyrus, ancient Egyptians would use crocodile dung mixed with other substances, such as honey, which was widely used as a medicine in the ancient world, to make a paste that was then placed inside the clyde to achieve the purpose of contraception. As for why the ancient Egyptians believed crocodile dung had contraceptive effects, there is still no definitive answer. It may involve multiple factors. Based solely on the ancient Egyptians' understanding of the world and their daily habits, crocodile dung may have carried not only physical and chemical functions, but also symbolic meaning. In ancient Egypt, the crocodile was an important symbol of the Nile River, and through long-term observation of crocodiles, the ancient Egyptians observed that female crocodiles would protect their nests and eggs, which led to crocodiles being associated with reproduction and fertility. In fact, in ancient Egyptian mythology, the god Sobek, depicted as having the head of a crocodile and the body of a man, was believed to possess the power to control fertility. Combined with the widespread use of animal dung in ancient societies, crocodile dung may have been thought to possess some kind of mystical barrier function, capable of controlling or blocking fertility. Unlike the use of crocodile dung, which was a somewhat dangerous contraceptive material, by around 1550 BCE, ancient Egypt had already produced the most extensively preserved and well-documented medical records known. The Ebers Papyrus recorded a more scientific method of contraception, which to some extent also demonstrates the centuries of medical practice and progress made by the ancient Egyptians. In the Ebers Papyrus, it is mentioned that the ancient Egyptians began to use suppositories made from mixtures such as fermented dates, acacia gum, and honey as a new method of contraception. This new contraceptive measure may have been somewhat effective. Firstly, acacia gum, as a complex polysaccharide and glycoprotein polymer, possesses excellent adhesive and emulsifying properties and is non-toxic and harmless. While providing lubrication, its stickiness could, to some extent, hinder the movement of sperm, thereby achieving the purpose of contraception. In addition, although acacia gum itself does not have direct antibacterial properties, when it undergoes a mild reaction with fermented dates, it continuously promotes the production of acidic substances, thereby lowering the pH value inside the vagina, which inhibits sperm activity and increases the effectiveness of contraception. As for why the ancient Egyptians thought of using acacia gum as a contraceptive material, in addition to accumulated life experience, it may also be largely related to the fact that acacia trees grew widely in Egypt and were very easy to obtain. In the daily life of the ancient Egyptians, Arabic religion covered almost every field from medicine to food, including the well-known mummies, which were made using Arabic religion. In addition to ancient Egypt, similar production of certain suppositories was also recorded in other ancient civilizations to achieve contraception. For example, in the History of Animals by the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, there is a description of a method in which a mixture of cedar oil, resin incense, and olive oil is inserted into the body to achieve contraception. Of course, this method of contraception was clearly quite harmful to the human body, especially since hydrogen, as a highly toxic substance, could cause serious health problems such as poisoning and damage to the nervous system if one was exposed to or ingested it over a long period. Women would stand or jump after intercourse to help the semen flow out, thereby reducing the likelihood of pregnancy. This was also a contraceptive method mentioned in Aristotle's History of Animals. Because of Aristotle's authority, before the establishment of modern reproductive science, this method of contraception remained popular for quite a long time in the past, especially during the Middle Ages when Christianity had widespread influence. Because Christianity, rooted in its doctrines and ethical views, placed great importance on procreation and strongly opposed artificial contraceptive methods, some indirect contraceptive methods based on natural behaviors, which did not overtly violate religious ethics, became an excellent choice for people at at the time. Of course, like most contraceptive methods in the past, this method was also practically ineffective. It merely reflected an attempt by people of that era within the limits of their knowledge. Contraceptive methods based on everyday experience, such as withdrawal, the rhythm, safe period method, and extending the breastfeeding period, were perhaps the most widely used forms of contraception in the past. For example, in the book of Genesis, it is recorded that Onan, the second son of Judah, used the withdrawal method to prevent his wife Tamar from becoming pregnant. Because Christian doctrine emphasizes the procreative purpose of sexual activity, Onan's actions were gradually interpreted more broadly to encompass all sexual behaviors that do not result in procreation. And in the end, the term "ki" became associated with Onan. Using extended breastfeeding as a means of contraception was probably the most reliable method people used in the past. Ancient civilizations such as China, India, and Greece all recorded this method of contraception. Modern scientific research has confirmed that breastfeeding after childbirth does indeed promote the secretion of prolactin in women, and prolactin can suppress ovarian ovulation, thereby reducing the likelihood of pregnancy. According to the World Health Organization and other medical studies, when certain conditions are met, the success rate of contraception using the lactational amenorrhea method during the first 6 months postpartum can be as high as 98% to 99%. Although people in the past did not understand the principles of hormonal regulation, there are still records of oral contraceptive use similar to those of modern people. One such method involved the use of a plant called silphium, which was a very popular means of contraception and abortion in the ancient Mediterranean region. Silphium was native to the Cyrenaica region of North Africa, which is present-day northeastern Libya, and it had a wide range of uses. In addition to being used as a contraceptive, people at the time also used it as a seasoning, in perfumes, and for other purposes. Due to the enormous commercial value of silphium, its place of origin, Cyrene, became a very prosperous city. Archaeological excavations at the site of Cyrene have uncovered a large number of coins bearing the image of this plant, highlighting its importance to the city's economy. However, since there are no surviving specimens of silphium, not only has the reason for its contraceptive effects remained a mystery, there is even considerable debate about its true identity. Some believe that silphium belonged to certain species within the Apiaceae family, such as wild carrot from the genus Ferula, which might have been the so-called silphium. Modern research has indeed shown that these Apiaceae plants possess similar contraceptive or abortifacient properties. In particular, wild carrot is still used today by local people in India as a traditional contraceptive. However, this view is not universally accepted. Others believe that, given the enormous demand for silphium in ancient times, this plant, which required rather specific growing conditions, must have been harvested on a large scale, leading to a sharp decline in its numbers around the 1st century AD, and ultimately to its extinction. According to the Roman scholar Pliny, the last known silphium plant was once presented as a rare treasure to the Roman Emperor Nero. Condoms are one of the most popular contraceptive tools in the world today, but before the invention of latex condoms in the first half of the 20th century, this type of contraceptive was actually quite uncommon. Although, according to some fragmentary records, people in the ancient world did use animal organs such as sheep intestines or fish bladders to make condoms, the first clear written record of condom use in history dates back to 16th century Europe. Gabriele Falloppio was a renowned anatomist and physician from Renaissance Italy. In a monograph he wrote about syphilis, also known as the French disease, we find the first clear record of Europeans using condoms. According to Falloppio's account, in order to prevent syphilis, which began to ravage the European continent from the late 15th century and whose origin remains unclear to this day, condoms were used as a protective measure. He recommended that people use a sheath made of linen, which should be soaked in a chemical solution, dried, and then placed over the penis during intercourse to effectively prevent syphilis infection. Although Falloppio did not specify the exact formula of this so-called chemical solution in his original text, according to his own account, in experiments conducted on more than 1,000 men using this method, not a single person contracted syphilis. In the early days, the use of condoms seemed to focus more on the prevention of sexually transmitted diseases. However, given their significant contraceptive effect during this process, after entering the 17th century, condoms increasingly began to be used as a means of birth control and became popular among the upper class. For example, in the 1655 French erotic novel, The School of Venus, it was explicitly mentioned for the first time that small pieces of cloth could be used to prevent pregnancy. In 1666, the British Fertility Commission attributed the recent decline in birth rates to the use of condoms, which also marks the first clear record of a term similar to condom in modern English. The 19th century was an important stage in the development of condoms, marking the beginning of their popularization. In 1843, American chemist and manufacturing engineer Charles Goodyear discovered a method for making natural rubber and developed the process of rubber vulcanization. Subsequently, rubber condoms, which were more reliable and affordable than those made from linen or animal intestines, appeared in 1855 and became increasingly popular. In 1920, the manufacturing process for condoms underwent another major innovation. In that year, latex condoms, which were thinner and more comfortable than rubber condoms, were introduced and gradually became the mainstream and most common type of condom today. From the ancient cities, steeped in superstition and elitism, to the modern era of scientifically supported and precise contraceptive methods, humanity's exploration and transformation in the field of contraception over the past 1,000 years mirrors our ventures in other domains. This is not only a testament to the indomitable human spirit, but also highlights our courage and creativity in the face of the unknown. Behind the ever-evolving contraceptive methods lies the core of humanity's longing for freedom of choice and the pursuit of a better life. So, aside from the contraceptive methods mentioned above, do you know of any other interesting or even outrageous forms of contraception that have existed in the past? Feel free to leave a comment below the video and share them with everyone to broaden our horizons.